Woo! Guess what? For those who have risen this morning and those who are rising this morning, it is because our Creator chose you, and me for this day we shall never, ever, ever see again. For that reason alone, we need to give him the honor, the praise, the glory, the hallelujah, the worship, and most importantly, the acknowledgement. Rise, shine, give God the glory, glory, rise, shine, give God the glory, glory, rise, shine, give God the glory, glory, soldiers of the Lord. You want some energy? Rise, shine, give God the glory, glory, rise, shine, give God the glory, glory, rise, shine, give God the glory, glory. Soldiers of the Lord. Yes. You had to get that spirit pumped up. And I need you to feel me and not necessarily see me. Okay? It's all about the spiritual message, not the messenger. But I thank God 33 plus years ago from underneath a parked car, after serving a 14-year addiction and mental illness and as a prostitute and all the associated behaviors, he prepared me to be sitting here before you today with qualifications of being a transformational speaker, a spiritual coach, a spiritual consultant for the purpose of free to hope. From recovery, emerge enlightened / empowered to give hope to others, help others prosper equally. So if you need a speaker, a leader for a workshop or a seminar, you need training, you need consulting, you need coaching, call me. But call me if you want someone who is transparent and authentic through humility, brought about humiliation 33 plus years ago. Thank you, God, for choosing me to live and place me on the spiritual road to spiritual recovery. Thank you, the Ruiz family, for the 5 agreements. And most recently, thank you, Dr. Sonja of P3 University for her transformational teachings. Listen, I'm going to plant the seed, y'all. I need $3,000 so I can join Dr. Sonja and other women to be taught by her on the process of being an effective, right, productive coach. And so I don't have the money, but I got a mouth and I'm going to ask. So listen, it's a 3-month process. I've been investing in myself for the last 5 months, then invested about $8,000, but it's nothing compared to what she has given and offered. I want to attend this coaching class so I can become more experienced, more knowledgeable, and more passionate about my purpose, to be able to deliver it in such a way that you can't get it one way, shape, form, or fashion. So if you want to help me, I'm going to put in my Cash App. I don't usually do this, but I'm going to do it now because I want to go to that. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, gosh. Okay. I want to go to that coaching experience, right? And so I'm going to put in my Cash App. So listen, if you have, a couple dollars to help me achieve this goal, please do so, because I want to be able to serve other people. All right. And so I am asking you because you have not because you ask not. Again, I want to attend Dr. Sonja's, right? This is her, right? Right, shift pain into power. And I've invested already about $8,000 to $10,000 since January because God divinely put her into my lives and the lives of women to discover, become aware of their pain that will create their passion for the purpose of helping others. So I want to go. Can you help me? All right. Cash at me anything. Call me if you have any questions. You see, I'm transparent. I am not. I am not trying to uh, bribe you or none of that crazy mess, right? So if you have any questions, I want you to call me, okay? And if you can help me get to the next level, then please do so. Follow the spirit of your heart, right? And we will go from there. All right. So I'm also trying to do, no, I am going to do something else with the help of someone who may have information for me because the spirit placed in me to have an in-person event. I've been doing virtual, I've been doing podcasts, for the last 3 or so years. And now, after participating in a fashion show the other day, and it was fantastic. And I just believe that, wow, I got a urge to, you know what? I can do this. I can do this. So I am planning without any details. That's what faith is all about. I just need the venue, and I need it to be a place in Wilmington with some parking spaces. But I am planning an event on Saturday, May the 20th, the week after Mother's Day, from 11 to 2 p.m. Did I say that? 11 to 2. And I'm going to be presenting my clothing line, right? People often say, where'd you get that from? Where'd you get that from? How'd you get that? Well, listen, I need some models to model my clothing, okay, for May the 20th. And so they range from sizes large to 2X, maybe 3X, sizes 12 to 14. And so I want to see some of my clothing on some of you all, right? And so I want to present because listen, you talking about an addiction. Thank God I have and am slowly recovering. But I want to share it with you all. So it's going to be an eventful day, a fashion show. I have my books available. And then I'm going to present a verbal message to you all about the journey to transparency and authenticity by way of humility. Okay. So if you know of a venue with parking, please call me. Okay. And so we can manifest this dream that the Spirit gave me. And guess what? With faith, it will happen, even if just one person shows up. I'm grateful. Okay, so let's get to the topic today. And you know that I've been trying a couple of things, right? And that is when I come on in the morning, I share my experience, my strength, my hope, my wisdom, and my perspective from the 12-step program of Alcoholics Anonymous, that's spiritual in nature, that I've been a part of for the last 33 plus years. But the spiritual program and fellowship has been in existence nearly 90 years. So I am grounded, I am rooted into my spiritual journey. But the more I get, the more I want, because the God that I didn't know, who I found in this 12-step program, is continuously providing me spiritual teachers. One of them being the 5 Agreements by the Ruiz family, and most recently, the teachings of a transformational nature by Dr. Sonja of P3 University. But each day, The 12-step spiritual program offers a daily reflection for people like myself in recovery to hone in on, to focus in on, to be reminded of, to give hope to people. And so I am one who would love to share my experience, my strength, my hope, right, and my perspective on these daily reflections that I've been practicing for over 33 plus years from underneath a parked car. 14-year addiction, was it 13 or 14? And mental illness and prostitution and a whole lifestyle? Not anymore. One day at a time. I am a person who does not represent AA, the Ruiz family, or Dr. Sonja. I represent my God who did for me what no human being could do. And this topic today will demonstrate how. Okay, so I'm going to be on again tonight from 7:30 to 8. This will be day 3 of my trial period. And I will be sharing with you what the reading manifested today, this evening. And I will give you a preview of tomorrow's reading. Okay? All right, so let's dissect this baby. Open up your spiritual ears and your spiritual eyes and let's roll. Okay? All right, so thank you, Lord. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. And so let me move this and let me bring up the reading for today. Okay. It says, okay, come on. It says, wait a minute, right? Okay. I think that's it. All right. All right. It says here, cleaning house. Now, the co-founders takes a quote from the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions off of page 60. And it states, somehow being alone with God doesn't seem as embarrassing as facing up to another person. Until we actually sit down and talk aloud about what we have so long hidden, our willingness to clean house is still largely theoretical. The person in recovery shares his perspective. It wasn't unusual for me to talk to God and myself about my character defects, but to sit down face to face and openly discuss these intimacies with another person was much more difficult. I recognized in the experience, however, a similar relief to the one I had experienced when I first admitted I was an alcoholic. I began to appreciate the spiritual significance of the program and that this step was just an introduction to what was yet to come in the remaining 7 steps. Listen, y'all, I'm on fire. Woo! Listen. Ooh. And you wouldn't think I've been reading this stuff over and over and over and over and over and over and over again for 33 plus years. Why? Because each day brings a new and different perspective. As long as I continue to provide maintenance on my spiritual condition. That's why I make my meetings every morning. Just got finished coming from one, right? And by doing that, we get to read and hear other people share their experience, their strength, their hope, their wisdom, their perspective on how these 12 spiritual principles are helping us. And they can help you too. All right, so this particular reading, this is the month of May, and it is the 5th month in terms of the spiritual principles. And the 5th step says we admit it to God, to ourselves, and another human being, the exact nature of our wrongs. This was preceded by the 4th step inventory, where we were fearless and thorough in identifying how those attitudes, ideas, behaviors, belief systems were first formulated, how far back, by whom, what situations, what circumstances, what part I played in it, and how they perpetuated themselves into our lives even up until now. So those belief systems, attitudes, ideas, behavior got me underneath that parked car on February the 22nd of 1990, 3 o'clock in the morning, getting high and doing all kind of sexual favors with my own stepson. Yes, okay? So this particular step helped me tremendously because after I did my 4th step with the instructions of my sponsor, it took me 6 months to do it because I was about to embark on a journey I had never experienced. And that was the death of my second husband, who was a trick, who married me as a prostitute and drug addict because he saw a diamond in the rough. And so with that, and not knowing when he was going to pass, and I was there to take care of him, my sponsor suggested I do my 4th step. This way I can identify my patterns, my triggers, my debits, my credits to my personality, my spirit, my physical, emotional, and spiritual conditions. It took me 6 months because I was honest. I was thorough. I was fearless, because the step before that was the 3rd step. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understand him. I told you I was taught God was a punishing God, but in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous and this spiritual fellowship, I learned of a loving and caring God. And so I know that me doing my 4th step was essential in revealing those things I wanted to conceal, to take to my grave, but I couldn't heal. And so it was through the 5th step that we take that bold step to admit to God, who already knows, admit to ourselves, we already know, but to sit down in front of somebody and tell them your darkest secrets. Yes. If you want freedom, if you don't want to be held to the chains of your past, if you want to be set free from recovery, emerge enlightened and then empowered, so you can give hope to others, help others prosper equally. Yes. Yes. And so let's see how they did it and why it's so important, okay? So I dissect this baby, all right? So now that I gave you an example of what the 5th step entails, it says, somehow being alone with God doesn't seem as embarrassing as facing up to another person. Okay, now let's talk about that. We know that confession is ancient history, and it's our way as set out by our predecessors to make a confession to our Creator. The Catholics, they have their way of doing it, and other cultures have their way of doing it. And even in those situations, sometimes the person is really not face to face. They're divided by something. And so, in coming into this fellowship, I remember sharing some things with people, particularly if I trusted them. And there was something special about that, because I got to release something that was bothering me, something that was horrible, something that was eating me up. And so some of us know what that experience is like. Now, when we had that knee-bowing experience that I had on February the 22nd of 1990, no, I was done. All the masks had to go. The masks were gone. And coming into this spiritual fellowship, we needed to begin to address and take off the mask that's inside of us, that we've been concealing, hiding behind for years, kept us sick. But here is the hit. Here is the freedom to sit in front of somebody who is in recovery or of a spiritual, position, and knows about the purpose of the 12-step spiritual program that offers spiritual transformation experiences and awakenings to achieve a psychic change. And so, yes, we need to sit down face to face with another individual to disclose what we found out in our 4th step. And the purpose of that experienced person is to give us a better, deeper, greater understanding of those defects. Now, let me tell you what defects are. Let me take a drink of my ginger, all right? Because I'm getting ready to get deep. Okay. All human beings are given God or have God-given natural instincts. And defects are only that portion of the natural instincts that has far exceeded their purpose. Okay? So that's all character defects are. Our God gave us natural instincts for security, procreation, shelter, all that, right? But because of the nature in which we were brought into this life, right, we began to buck heads, and we began to be competitive, and we began to be confused because of the nature of being human. All right. And so those natural instincts definitely began to far exceed their intended purpose. So, no, there was nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with you. We had and have to find out what happened to us and where those character defects warped ourselves, caused havoc in the lives of others, right? And we became a nuisance to society. And so now that I did my fourth step, I'm going to tell you, I told you I'm transparent. I'm authentic. I knew what I was supposed to do and who I was supposed to do my fifth step with. I tell you. But I had a different idea. Yes, I wanted to do my fifth step with a man of the cloth. That's right. I'm being transparent. Why? Because it was the men of the cloth, not all of them, some of them, in Philadelphia, who forbidded me to come in the front door as a prostitute, as a drug addict, as one with mental illness, because of the way I looked, the way I smelled, what I was going through. They wouldn't allow me in the front door. But those same pastors will allow me in the back door. Not to get on my knees and pray, but to get on my knees and provide them service. That's right, I said it. And if the shoe fit, good, because you need to be free too. So doing my fifth step, that wanting to get back and that wanting to, that wanting to, yeah. I had an ulterior motive for doing it with the man of the cloth who wasn't in recovery, heard about the spiritual principles, but he too had a different motive because it was an attraction there. Yeah, see, you got to be authentic. You got to be true to yourself, right? And so I consciously decided to practice, if you will, my fifth step on him, telling him all my deep secrets. Really? Yeah. See? Recovery is about being prepared for things yet to come, right? And so this process includes falling forward, tripping forward, stumbling forward, but you are making progress because I'm aware of what I'm doing. I'm aware of what I'm thinking. I'm aware. Yes, but I choose to tune out what the program tells me. I choose to tune out what society tells me. And I choose to tune out what y'all say I should do. Yes, I did what I wanted to do, but I had an ulterior motive. And yes, that ulterior motive manifested itself because I became a thorn in that pastor's side, if you know what I mean. Yes, I would purposely go to the church and sit there. All righty then, I hear you. See, but that was self-serving. That was selfish. That was being self-centered. But my humanness, through my fourth step and my fifth step, showed me that, Edwina, you need to do your fifth step the way it's supposed to be done and with whom it's supposed to be done. Yes. And so I did get my sponsor, and we sat down, and she told me that we were going to pray together, and we did. And I'm telling you, I knocked on that door to her house, and I was a little hesitant because I'm going all the way or I'm not going. Yes. I felt like I weighed 200 pounds. And so when we prayed, and we began the process, and she said, okay, Edwina, share. I said, well, didn't you read my fourth step? She said, no. Why didn't you? Well, it was for you. Now I need you to share from your heart in front of me. Yes, we doing this together. What you wrote, I want you to translate in front of me. Yes, that's what the fifth step says. Admit it to God, to ourselves, and to another human being, the exact nature of our wrongs. And the process began. And when we do our fifth step with somebody, again, I had to kind of test her a little bit, right? So I said something, and I was waiting to see how she responded. I said something again, and I wanted to see how she was going to react. And so the more I began to share, the more freedom I got. And guess what? I shared everything. Even the first fifth step I did with the past. And so that's what it means, right? By admitting to God, to ourselves, and to another human being. In the beginning, it did feel embarrassing, but I did not want to give anything or anybody that much power ever again to make me go back to drinking and put me underneath that parked car. Hell no. 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 If my God chose me, then he has prepared me, and I just need to walk through the fear, because fear is only false evidence appearing real. And so I did it. And I'm telling you, when I left her house, I had lost a lot of weight. All right. But the purpose of it is for her to help me go through those character defects, to find out the root of those defects. Resentment, my sexual relations, right? My dishonesty, all of those things, right? They were the character defects, but she helped me to go deep, 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 and find out the exact nature of each and every one of those defects of character. Yes, that shed more light that there is nothing wrong with you, Edwina. Because of those things you shared in the fourth step, you revealed what happened to you. And therefore, we know the exact nature. Okay? All right, so I got a minute or so. Let's go on and see what they said, right? Until we actually sit down and talk aloud about what we have so long hidden, our willingness to clean house is still largely theoretical. In essence, we're still wearing a mask. Short and sweet. We're still wearing a mask. We're still on stage. We're still perpetrating a fraud. Yes. But if you want real freedom, spiritual freedom, if you want to be set free, pay attention. All right. So let's see what the person in recovery shares, right? He says, it wasn't unusual for me to talk to God and myself about my character defects, but to sit down face to face and openly discuss these intimacies with another person was much more difficult. So let me ask you this question. And I asked the question with my sponsees as well. You know what I mean? Do you want to live or do you want to die? You can still live, but you're the walking dead. Do you want to be set free or do you want to be imprisoned again? You can get with this or you can get with that. What is your choice this day, this second, this minute? And I hope the answer is to be set free. So as difficult as it is, the reward is so much more miraculous because we now reveal those things that we wanted to conceal in order to start the healing process. Okay, so it's not difficult. All right, so it says, I recognize in the experience, however, a similar relief to the one I had experienced when I first admitted I was an alcoholic. Underneath that parked car, after getting high with my stepson, doing all kind of sexual favors with him, I was done. Only weighed 90 pounds. Dark circles around my eyes, face all sunken in. I didn't have these dentures, I only had a few teeth. My hair was short and matted. And I hollered out after this flashback, take me out this life now. Whoever you are, take me out now or show me a better way. Voila, I'm here 33 plus years later. If he removed that obsession and compulsion, I've learned to embrace and have the honesty, willingness, and open-mindedness to know that he can remove any character defect that keeps me from being used by him to help one of his other children. All right, I got to go, y'all. Oh, I tell you, listen. All right, so tonight I'm going to be on from 7:30 to 8. I'll do a recap of this reading, and I'll share with you how my day was, and I hope you can do too. And then I'm going to give you a preview of tomorrow's reading, which is entirely honest. Ooh, I can't wait for that. But let me tell you, your grace and mercy brought me through. I'm living this moment because of you. I want to praise you and thank you too, for it was your grace and your mercy that brought me through. Amazing grace. How sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found, was blind, and now I see. God is using me to just touch one more. And so on May the 20th, I hope to touch a few more. If it's God's will that we be reunited this evening, I'll be here, and I hope you will be too. Have a blessed remaining day.